All right. Hello, everybody. I see a bunch of folks coming in from the waiting room. I'm going to keep talking and buy us just a couple seconds to get everybody in and situated. I'm sure you're coming from other presentations, hopefully learning a lot today. All right. I am going to go ahead and kick us off now. It looks like we have a good group. My name is Kim. Let me start by introducing myself. I'm from Lettuce, who has put on this event today, and I am very excited to be here as both a fractional marketer myself and as somebody who just gets to listen to all of these amazing inspirational presentations all day, and certainly relate to this idea of the time is money trap. So excited to sort of dig in and introduce you to our speaker. Let me start by with a question that keeps, I think, a lot of solopreneurs up at night, which is, if I'm not working billable hours right now, am I making money? And for too many independent consultants, coaches, and fractional leaders, the answer is no, because we're stuck in the hamster wheel of trading time for money, which means your income has a ceiling. And that ceiling is the number of hours you can physically work in a week. But as you're thinking about 2026 and what you want your business to look like, here's the truth. The most successful solos have figured out how to break free from that trap. They've learned the art of productization, packaging their expertise into scalable offerings that deliver massive value without requiring endless hours of their time. And at Lettuce, we understand this challenge intimately, and that's why our platform is designed to give you back your time. So instead of spending hours every month on things like bookkeeping or tax planning or financial admin, Lettuce automates all of it for you so we can manage both your personal and your business tax prep. And as of right now, we're actually offering something special, just to say quickly, which is expert personal tax prep as we approach tax season. And at Lettuce Tax Prep, it's basically a white glove service. It's a personal business where you get a personal business report and a one-on-one strategy call with recommendations on how to save even more next year, because you're working with a tax team that's dedicated to helping solos and understanding solo businesses. But today, our speaker, Sam Lee, who is founder of the Indie Collective, he is a modern MBA style program, which is a modern, MBA style program for independent consultants, coaches, and fractional leaders. Sam has built his own 7-figure consulting practice and has helped over 650 graduates do the same. And he's going to walk us through the exact threefold path to productization, niching with precision, pinpointing painkiller problems, and designing high-value, scalable offerings. So a lot to get through today with Sam. Before I hand it over to him, just a little bit of session format. Each session is going to run about 45 minutes. We're going to try to stick to that as tight as possible. While Sam is presenting, please ask questions in the chat, in the Q&A. Let us know what's on your mind, and we're going to get to everything that we can throughout the session. And then on the right-hand side, I want to draw your attention to where the chat is. There's a couple tabs up top. There's chat, there's Q&A, there's polls, and there's handouts. Under handouts, there is an offer section, and the offer I just spoke about for Lettuce, plus additional offers from Sam that are really important are in there as well. And these are exclusive for the attendees of this presentation. So check them out as we go and hopefully use them to make your 2026 that much better. Sam, I'm gonna duck out and leave it to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that thoughtful introduction, Kim, and welcome everyone to today's Indie Collective workshop. For those that don't know personally, my name is Sam Lee, and I'm the founder and CEO of Indie Collective. Today's topic, breaking free of the time for money trap as a consultant, coach, or fractional leader. Well, it's a topic that's near and dear to my heart. And that's because for more than a decade now, I've been on my own independent consulting journey. Sometimes consulting has been my full-time and other times my part-time. Sometimes I've pursued this path, and frankly, other times I've been put back on the path because of changed circumstance or even job loss. But what I've now learned in more than a decade of walking this independent consulting path myself, and also seen firsthand in more than 650 graduates of Indie Collective's programs, is that building a better business, read a consulting, coaching, or fractional practice, one that will maximize the income, impact, and flexibility that you deserve as an experienced professional. Well, it's not about working harder and just winning the next client. It's about working smarter and gradually translating your years or even decades of experience into a set of more strategic, scalable solutions. Things that you can build once and then sell and deliver again and again. Things that as you grow them in your portfolio of work will allow you to free up more time while growing your income and impact. And that's what we're here to talk about today, breaking free of this time for money trap as a consultant, coach, or fractional leader by walking the path of productization. Over the next 40 or so minutes, I'm going to walk you through three important things. First, what the heck it is that I mean about this path of productization. Two, why this path is one that will free up more income, impact, and flexibility in your life. And third and finally, how you can start to walk this path today with Indie Collective's support. Before I go on, for those who are new to Indie Collective, as Kim mentioned, we are a modern MBA style program, a program that was purpose-built for people like all of you. Consultants, coaches, and fractional leaders, people who are ready to unlock more of that income, impact, and flexibility in their own lives. And over the last 5+ years, we've now helped more than 650 experienced professionals from more than 20 disciplinary backgrounds to build their own better businesses. So you've heard me say this term better business now twice. What do we mean exactly? A better business, simply put, is a consulting, coaching, or fractional practice, one that will help you as an experienced professional to do three things at once. First, it's going to maximize your income, because when you're building a better business, you're not charging for hours, you're charging for the outcomes you create for clients. Two, it's going to deepen your client impact, because when you build a better business, you're going to focus on a subset of best fit clients and solve their painkiller problems. Things that when you do it repeatedly will drive the biggest impact for the people you care about, those best fit clients. And then third and finally, a better business is going to free up your time, because as you gradually walk this path of productization, you'll put in place process, systems, and tools. Things that will take you as a creative expert out of the redundant tasks. So you have more of that valuable time for the strategic and creative, or frankly, the people, passion projects, and other things that matter outside of work. So over the last 5+ years, we've helped hundreds of people to build their own better businesses. And through Indie Collective, it's always been through a 5-part tried and true recipe. And you can see that here. And the first most important ingredient is you. It's you and the expertise that you've developed over the course of your career, whether that be years or even decades of doing the work you love. This is the first and the most important ingredient to building a better business of your own. I actually like to think of it as 80% of the recipe. In addition to this first most important ingredient, there are 4 other ingredients. And I'd frankly normally animate this slide because they are a flywheel. And when you marry them with you and your expertise, they get you on a faster, more reliable path to unlocking that next level of income, impact, and flexibility. And those 4 accelerator ingredients are: 1, tapping into tried and true business building playbooks that have helped hundreds of our members to translate those years of expertise into a better business. 2, working with far ahead mentors, people who have been there and done that, people who have already built a 7 or 8-figure business and who are teaching you how to apply these business playbooks to build your own better business. 3rd, putting yourself into a supportive community of peers. And you're already finding hopefully some great community here at Solo Summit, but putting yourself in a group of peers who are walking this path with you. So you're not doing better business building in isolation, but you find the sounding board, accountability, partnership to build better business and life together. And then 4th and finally, making sure you're availing yourself of all the modern tools, including AI. Not because it's going to replace you, but because it can amplify your expertise and definitely accelerate the client delivery. So there you have Indie Collective's 5-part tried and true recipe. The recipe that's helped 650+ people to build better businesses, consulting, coaching, and fractional practices that unlock their next level of income, impact, and flexibility. Today, we're going to unpack one of Indie Collective's 8 core playbooks, and that is our playbook on productization. What is productization? Simply put, it's about getting you out of the trade of time for money as a consultant, coach, or fractional leader. Because if you're just trading time for money, you're operating on a linear equation. And I'll say linear equations like the one you see on this slide have a very hard glass ceiling. They're going to have you doing one of 2 things. You're either going to be scaling your hours to 30, 40, 50, 60 or more hour weeks in order to grow your income and impact, or you're going to be scaling back your ambition because you desperately want to protect the people, passion projects, and other pursuits that matter most to you in business and life. And I'll say neither of those is a good equation, and neither is necessary for experienced professionals like you that productize their expertise. Over the last 10 plus years of consulting myself and now 5 plus years of helping 650 graduates to build better businesses, I'll say I've met thousands of consultants, coaches, and fractional leaders, literally thousands. And I find that most, when I meet them, are living on one of two growth edges. And you see them on this slide. On one hand, people find themselves to be overbooked, which is to say their calendars are jam-packed, they're exhausted, they're overwhelmed. And frankly, the reason that they went independent in the first place, to find more freedom, flexibility, abundance, it feels elusive. And on the other hand, I find many people that I meet are underbooked. And it's not a function of not having sharp expertise. It's not that at all. It's because their pipelines are thin. Inbound is episodic at best, and it feels like they're living in an unsustainable business and life. And these two symptoms, overbooked and underbooked, while they are very different symptoms, they actually stem from the same root cause. And it's one, a lack of clarity of who their best fit clients are and which problems they should be solving as their best fit clients experts. And two, productization, because these consultants, coaches, and fractional leaders have been so heads down, focused on trying to win the work and deliver it as best they can, that they've not picked their heads up and made themselves a client and done the important deep work we're going to talk about today of getting clear on your clients, getting clear on your problems, and then designing a strategic portfolio of solutions, things that you can build once and then sell and deliver again and again and again. And when you do these two things, get clear on the clients and problems, and then design your strategic, more scalable portfolio, everything in your business and life gets more fun, effective, and frankly, freeing. Before we continue, I'm going to take a poll in the chat. So we're not going to launch a poll, but we will take this question in the chat. I want to ask all of you today, this week, do you find yourself to be more overbooked, more underbooked, or are you living somewhere in the in-between? Go ahead and drop that in the chat. I'd love to see where we are as a room. I'm looking at the chat. Give me a few more responses. Great, thank you. Hello, I love the participation. Awesome. This is one of the last sessions of the day, but I appreciate everybody chiming in. Wow, okay, amazing. Keep it coming. I love seeing it. First, it's important that we come together as a community here because we need to know that we're not alone. I love to see that there are definitely some people in the room who feel like they're in between. They're just right. And congratulations to you if you feel like you are in the right sweet spot today. I'll say listen on. Because if you've not done these three things, gotten clear on your best fit clients, their painkiller problems, and the scalable portfolio, I promise you, there is more impact, more income, and more flexibility for you to achieve. And I'll say in scanning the chat here, the vast majority of you, frankly, are living on one of these two growth edges. And know, one, that you're not alone. You can see it in the chat. And two, I call these growth edges because you can grow past them. You do not have to live in this constant state of feast or famine. I want to address one misconception that I hear all too often because I talk about productization constantly. I've built 3 businesses now, through this product path of productization, and I hear this question or misconception often. And it's this: Sam, I'm hearing you talk about this concept of productization, and gosh, it feels like you're trying to make me an experienced professional, maybe a strategist, a creative, somebody that's doing some heady work. You're trying to turn me into a factory, all right? And I have absolutely no interest in stamping out cookie cutter deliverables for my clients. And I'll say that is exactly what productization is not. I am not here trying to make you into a widget maker. Couldn't be further from the case. Productization is about putting just enough structure around your brilliance so that you can consistently accomplish 3 things. 1, with that structure, I want you to be able to consistently and confidently do the best work for your best clients. 2, with structure around every engagement, I want you to consistently and confidently be selling engagements that always optimize for your income, impact, and freedom. And 3, as you walk this path of productization, you are very naturally going to build process, systems, tools, things that will take you out of the redundant aspects of doing your work and free you up, frankly, to be more strategic and creative, and also to have so much more time for people and passion projects that matter most to you. That is what productization is all about. The second thing that I want to make sure you walk away from on this slide is that of our 650 plus grads, or even if I look at my own lived experience with more than 10 plus years of having a portfolio, I'll say most of our grads do not productize everything, right? It's not about everything being scalable. It's about building a balanced portfolio of strategic solutions. On the left of this Venn diagram, you have strategic and bespoke solutions. Those high value, high impact, very bespoke things that I still do for some clients and that I encourage you to if they light you up. And on the right-hand side, you're going to have strategic, scalable solutions, things that you built once and that you are now able to sell, deliver, and grow again and again in much less time. And when you marry these two sides of a portfolio and you build a balanced portfolio of strategic solutions with bespoke and scalable, you get into this freedom zone where you are unlocking more income, impact, and flexibility every single week, month, and year. So what are we going to do in the next, 30 minutes? We're going to be covering 4 key things. First, we're going to walk this path of productization together. Second, as we are going through this path of productization, I'm going to give you 2 moments to reflect. And I want you to note your distinctions and also note 1 or 2 next steps, things that you're going to do this week, this month, this quarter, so you start walking this path and make yourself a client. Third, I'm going to give you some examples of people that have done this beyond my own, so that you can see that this is possible for you. We've supported people from 20 different disciplinary backgrounds in walking this path. And then fourth and finally, you're going to get access to 2 powerful resources that are exclusively being made available thanks to Lettuce's generous support. 1, I'm going to give you all a free 4-week productization challenge. And you're going to get some of the resources we are talking about today, starting today, if you sign up for it. And 2, thanks to Lettuce's generous support, we've got $20,000 in partial scholarships that we're going to be making available to Indie Collective's upcoming live programmings. So for those that want live coaching with me, live learning, supportive community, and our full suite of custom tools, you can have those too. So with that, let's get right into it. The threefold path of productization. It 1 starts with diagnostically niching down on your best fit clients. 2, it's about zeroing in on the painkiller problems you need to be solving for those best fit clients as their expert. And then 3, you're going to design those strategic solutions and that balanced portfolio that lights you up and that maximizes your income, impact, and flexibility. So let's start with 1, defining your best fit clients. When I say best fit clients, what I mean is that you want to be identifying a subset of clients for whom you can show up as an expert, create outsized value, and also really enjoy doing the work. Here's the God's honest truth. Your best fit clients, read the highest value, most discerning clients, the ones with the meaty, meaningful engagements that you want. Those clients, well, they don't want to work with generalists. I'm going to say it once more for the back of the room. The best fit clients, the most discerning, high value, the ones that have the interesting work, they don't want to work with generalists. They want to work with experts like you. People who have been there and done that. People who understand them and their organizations. People who can understand and zero in quickly on their most painkiller problems. People who have proven solutions to get those clients to the other side of the great outcomes they desperately need. So your best clients, your best fit clients want to work with experts like you. And I'll say when you get clear on who your best fit clients are, everything changes for the better in both your business and life. Because when you know who those best fit clients are, you can start showing up like an expert, that go-to expert out in the world, whether it's in your networking, on your website, your LinkedIn. You can start showing up in sales conversations like their expert, asking the right questions that present your expertise and that have you zeroing in immediately on the most painful problems you should be solving with them as their expert. And you'll also start charging for the value you create. You'll use our value-based proposal template. And like our typical members, raise your rates by 25 to 50%, probably in a few weeks of getting focused on the right clients. So focusing on the right clients, your best fit clients isn't a nice to have, it's actually a must have. The best ones don't want to work with a generalist. And when you operationalize a business around the best clients, everything gets easier and more fun. So how do you get clear on who your best fit clients are? Well, it's a threefold path. And I'll say this path is actually remarkably similar for those who have been doing independent work for years or even a decade, as it is for people that are still in W-2 and dabbling in independent work. So I'll walk you through the 3 steps and be thinking about what you might start to do even this week, this month, to get on this path of figuring out your best fit clients. Your step 1 is to look back. Look back at the work you've done as an independent, or look back at your career of work as a full-time employee. And I'm going to ask you, not this minute, but in the follow-up, in fact, the first week of the Productization Challenge is going to have you leaning into this, but I'm going to ask you to take out an Excel spreadsheet if you love a spreadsheet, or take out a giant piece of paper if you're a kinetic learner, and build a table. And in that table, you're going to have a bunch of rows. And in those rows, you're going to have your clients and their engagements. Go back a year, or if you're like me and you geek out about this stuff, go back a couple of years. So in each of those rows, list out your clients and the engagements. And then in each of the columns, there'll be 3. You're going to rank from highest to lowest, 1 to 5, on 3 different dimensions of each of those clients and engagements. The first key column is going to be on the outcomes you deliver. Which of these clients' engagements drove the biggest outcomes for your client? Question 2. Of all those clients and engagements, which of those clients and engagements drove the greatest income and, frankly, profitability for you and your business? And then question 3, which of those clients and engagements gave you the most joy? Like, what did you actually enjoy doing? So that's step 1. Look back at your lived experience of the last year, or if you're like me, do it a couple of years back, frankly. So you really have a great data set for you. Step 2, spot patterns. Once you've got this big, beautiful table, whether it's on an Excel spreadsheet or whether it's on a piece of paper, you're going to look for patterns. Total up at the end of each row and see which of these clients and engagements rises to the top. Did you have any 15 out of 15s if you're scoring each on a 5? Did you have any 0s? I sure hope not, because that's a really good fit. That's a good not a fit client, and you won't be going back there again. But see who rises to the top and then look for the patterns. What about the best fit clients, the ones that scored most highly, made them best fit? Were there aspects of those organizations, their age or stage, their capitalization? Were there aspects of the decision makers and teams that you worked with? Was it the type of engagement or problem that you solved? What made them best fit? What are the common patterns? So that's your second key task, is take a look back and then identify patterns, because wow, when you get under the hood of the work you've done, there is gold in plain sight. And then step 3 is not just about looking back. You need to look forward and validate, because once you've got a vision for who you think your best client is, you need to look forward and make sure you confirm it. So set up 3 to 5 user research interviews. Speak to people who look like best fit clients, not people you've worked with today, but people who fit the bill of that vision of a best fit client. And you're going to guide them through a user research interview. As part of the Productization Challenge week 2, I'm going to give you my user research template. I'm going to tell you exactly how to set up the meetings. I'm going to give you the questions to ask, things that are going to get under the hood and confirm or, frankly, invalidate whether or not this is the right type of client for you. I'll say this is a process that I conduct for myself every Q4 of every single year. And there's not been a single year in the last 10 plus years. And I share numbers not to try to impress, but to underscore the points. There's not been a single year in the last 10 that I haven't made $1 million or more a year. And I'm only working with clients I love. I'm only solving problems that matter to me and those clients. And frankly, I've got a full life, right? I've got a great partner. I enjoy my life outside of work. So please, if nothing else, take the time in Q4 to look back, spot patterns, and validate where you should be moving, because it will allow you to focus on a set of clients and build a business around those clients in Q4 and in your year ahead. Once you've done this important work of getting clear on your best fit clients, your next step is to identify their painkiller problems. And I say painkiller problems not to elicit negative emotions, but to underscore this really important fact. In today's economic environment, there is no time or treasure for nice to solve or vitamin problems. But if your best fit client hears from you, they're going to pick up the phone, answer the call, sign the contract, and pay for the value you create when an expert like you comes to them with a proven approach to solve their most painkiller problem. Period. And when you focus on these painkiller problems, you're going to make an important shift in your business and your life. And it's this: you're going to stop showing up like a generalist and you're going to start showing up like an expert, because painkillers are specific to clients. And when you can show up in your branding, in your outreach, in your sales, in your proposals, like an expert who understands problems, can solve problems, assess and assign value to problems, and charge for them, everything works more smoothly in your business and life. So how do you make sure with clarity of best fit client, you can understand and identify their most painkiller problems, right? The question here is, how painful are the problems that I'm really solving today? Are they rising to the occasion of being a painkiller problem, or are they actually kind of nice to solve problems? And I'll say one of the biggest blockers of great businesses is that people don't realize, business owners, consultants, coaches, don't realize that they're either focusing on the wrong clients or they're focusing on the wrong problems for those clients, right? So how do you know that the problems you're trying to solve for your clients actually rise to the occasion of being a top 1 or 2 problem? Ones around which they will always pick up the phone, always sign the contract, always pay for value, and refer you to 10 other lookalike clients. There's 4 tests. They're around frequency, cost, urgency, and visibility. 1, frequency. Is the problem that you're trying to solve for your client, is it frankly a reoccurring painful nuisance, or is it a one-off and nice to solve problem? Frequency. 2, cost. How much does this problem hurt? Again, I'm not trying to elicit negative emotions, but you need to think about these things quantifiably and qualitatively from the perspective of those best fit clients. Is it costing them revenue? Is it costing them reputation? Are there results, KPIs, OKRs, things that they own that they need to meet numbers on or deliver outcomes around? And if the cost is super high, great. If not, you're probably not on the wrong thing. 3, urgency. Is this a must solve today problem, or was this better thought about next month, next quarter, next year? And then last but not least, visibility. And this is a really important one. Is the problem that you're trying to solve already understood and highly visible for that individual or organization you're trying to solve the solution to? If it's highly visible and it's urgent, costly, and frequent, by God, you're going to have a lot of business. And if not, you're going to have a lot of education to do. And we are too small as small business owners to be trying to educate all of our clients about what they need to be thinking about. It's just not a good space to live in. So if the problems you're solving meet at least 3 of these criteria, you got a great problem to solve for. You got a great problem that you can solution around and build a balanced portfolio around. If they don't, that's okay. But you're going to go back to the drawing board, speak to your best fit clients, and understand what is more top 1 or 2 problem for them, so that you can build a business around things that actually matter, a business that's going to hum once you do this. So I'm now going to just take 1 quick minute to recap, and then I'm going to give you time to reflect, just 2 minutes to reflect. But first and foremost, we've talked about best fit clients and painkiller problems. Top takeaway here, if you take away nothing else, your best fit clients, the ones that have the most interesting work, that are going to pay the most value for your expertise, they don't want to work with generalists. They want to work with the been there, done that experts, people who can show up like an expert, create outsized value, and help them get to the great outcomes that they deserve. And 2, when you start to focus on these best fit clients and solving their painkiller problems, wow, everything about your business gets easier, because you can take that clarity and not just build scalable solutions, but also upgrade your marketing, upgrade your sales, upgrade your value-based contract, streamline your back office. All of it hangs on this clarity. So it starts with your clarity of clients, problems, and next solutions. So now I'm going to give you just 2 minutes, and I want you to briefly reflect on these 2 questions. Who are the clients that you are most excited to serve today, and why? And what problems keep them up at night? The ones that you should be focused on and that you're uniquely equipped to solve. And don't overanalyze. Just write down whatever comes to mind based on everything you've learned thus far, because these distinctions and frankly, where your intuition leads you is 80% of what you need. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes, and at 3:31 Eastern, we're going to keep moving because we've got lots to cover here. All right, folks, we're going to keep moving. For those that have still got the juices flowing, keep writing, but I'm going to keep moving through the content so we cover all our bases here. We've now thought about who your best fit clients are, as well as which are those painkiller problems you need to be solving as their expert. The third step in this path of productization is to begin to design strategic solutions so that you can build your own balanced portfolio. And there's two important things to keep in mind here. One, I am not here to make you into a widget maker, right? It's not about stamping out cookie cutter deliverables for every single client. Solutioning and building a balanced portfolio is really about putting just enough structure around your brilliance so that you can do those three things I mentioned previously. It's about being able to consistently and confidently deliver the best results for your best clients. It's about being able to optimize every single engagement for your income, impact, and joy. And it's about gradually building process systems and tools, things that will support the sales, the delivery, the upsell of everything you do in your business. So you're freed up for, frankly, the creative and strategic versus these redundant tasks that are low value anyway. So now that you understand what it means to design a solution, let's talk about the threefold path of designing a strategic solution yourself. The first key step is actually very similar. Frankly, it's a build on what we just described, that spreadsheet and table where you're going to be looking at your clients and engagements and looking at what drives the most income, impact, and joy. I'm going to ask you to start your solution design process by looking back. And I want you to, frankly, look at those client engagements and identify which ones rose to the top, and then ask yourself the question, where did I create the most strategic of value, and what aspects of that work could be more repeatable, right? Is there, frankly, a codified, distinctive process that you've offered and you just haven't named it yet? Or perhaps there was elements of how you marketed and sold it and delivered it that you could start to build some artifacts around, process systems, tools, things that will take you out of the redundant, right? So look back, identify the best clients, the best engagements, and then identify where you could start to add process systems and tool, the structure that will free your brilliance up. The second key thing is to validate and then focus. Once you've identified something, a strategic solution that you'd say, gosh, maybe I could bring this to market more broadly, you want to make sure to pilot that. And you're going to do that in two ways. You're going to use that user research guide, which is going to allow you in a structured way to get these solutions in front of the best fit clients and make sure they resonate, right? Make sure they're actually getting under the hood and solving their most painful problems. And then two, you're just going to start pitching, because the number one way to know if you are keying into a painful problem is whether or not someone is ready to close and, frankly, pay for the value you create. And the key question that you want to be exploring in this space is, what patterns am I noticing in the works that clients are eager to hire me for? And what can I double down on within that work that they're eager to hire me for? And then step 3, very simply, is about starting to scale. And that's about gradually building process systems and tools and other artifacts like decks, things that are going to codify that work you want to do repeatedly into more of a system so that you're not doing the redundant again and again, but taking back, frankly, your valuable time in the marketing, in the sales, in the client delivery aspects of those more scalable solutions. And when you deliberately walk through these 3 steps of looking back and designing, validating and focusing, and then scaling those strategic solutions, you're going to gradually, as you see in this arrow, turn your expertise into much more scalable value. Value for you, right? The income you generate, and value for your clients, the impact that you'll bring to them and their organizations. So productization is not about making you a widget maker. It's about adding some structure to your brilliance, because when you do that, you're going to free up your time and grow your income and impact. 2, you don't have to be doing all scalable things. In fact, I don't do all scalable things. And most of our 650 grads have balanced portfolios. They've got strategic and bespoke, as well as strategic and scalable things. And when you bring those things together in service of an ideal client, that best fit client and their painkiller problems, you can build a much more healthy business and unlock all other aspects of your business building flywheel, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And we're going to actually just skip through the brief reflection here. I'm going to make sure you have this deck, but there's a couple of questions that I would have you reflect on at this juncture to make sure that you are walking away with your distinctions and also a couple of next steps. I want you to be thinking about which are the offers that are consistently creating the most value for your clients today. And you're going to see that in doing your look back. I would ask you and invite you to be thinking about where can you add simple process and structure, even in the next week or month, things that's going to immediately start to free up your time and amplify your results, right? You don't have to get to the other side of a highly scalable thing to start seeing the benefits, right? The promises of productization pull through for your business in the next week, month, or quarter. And, I'd invite you to be thinking, since we're at this year-end time, about what it would mean for you in your creativity, in your finances, in your life, if you were to actually start investing in making yourself a client, right? Thinking about walking this path more deliberately beyond just this quick presentation. So we're not going to reflect on this live now because we've got a bunch more to cover. I now want to introduce you to an Indie Collective grad, Claudia Richmond, because sometimes real stories and seeing how people have walked this path can really bring the concepts to life. So Claudia Richmond is a former agency executive. She's somebody I met now 5+ years ago. And at that time, in peak COVID, she was actually launching into consulting, not for the first time, but for a second time, because years prior, she had walked this path. And when I met her, she said, Sam, I had done some consulting for a number of years. And while I was able to replace my income, it was with a lot of efforting, isolation, and a constant trade of time for money. So when I met Claudia, she was ready to go out on her own again, but she wanted to make sure that she surrounded herself with the right playbooks, the right mentors, the right tools, the right community to make sure she unlocked more of what she knew was possible for her. So let me talk to you a little bit about the path of productization that Claudia walked. Right? When Claudia did her consulting years prior to Indie Collective, it was 100%. It was 100% custom work. She was a fractional COO who would work with any company on any topic that a fractional COO might cover. And when she joined Indie Collective, she started moving from left to right. And in her first 10-week boot camp, she worked this threefold path and really went deep, identifying the clients she wanted to serve, the best fit problems that she needed to solve for those clients, and began to iteratively test and learn around not one, but 2 more strategic, scalable solutions. So what did she specifically do around our threefold path? Well, it started with looking back and designing. Claudia, as a former agency executive, had worked with, clients from every single age and stage, every industry. But when she looked back in this exercise, I encourage you to do, what she realized is that she got her greatest income, impact, and joy from working with early to mid-sized companies, mission-driven companies that, as she said, were doubling in size and needed the structure to have much less stress. So those are the companies that she decided to work with. And When she did that work, she realized, gosh, there's actually a subset of problems that these early to mid-stage companies that are doubling need help with. And in her first 10-week Indie Collective program, through some user research, and then frankly, getting out there with our support, she designed not one, but two scalable solutions. The first was a front-end offer for her business, a $35K diagnostic, which we'll talk about in a second. And the second was a back-end offer, a mindful manager training program. Within 6 months, both of these things were built out and were quite scalable. And within a year, these things allowed her to more than double her income while working 25-hour weeks. So what were the three key distinctions? Well, for Claudia, she focused on the right best fit clients, early stage mission-driven founders, companies that were doubling in size and needed the structure to get out of this constant stress. She focused on the right problems, right? The lack of roadmap and scaling for companies that had these first-time founders. And frankly, she built a scalable manager training program because the number one problem she saw in these organizations is that they were failing their middle managers and those managers were failing their teams. And as a result, she was able to design a balanced portfolio. Yes, she still went on and did the fractional work, and she still does to this day, but she's designed two scalable solutions. This diagnostic, which she charges $35K for, and her $40K mindful manager training program. Each of those tools take her about 10 hours to deliver. So she's making about $4,000 an hour if you were to do it on an hourly rate, but that's not how she bills it. She's billing for the outcome she delivers through solutions that solve her best fit clients' painkiller problems. And I share Claudia's story, not because you're Claudia, but all of you could be Claudia. I'm not even talking about her specific results. What I'm suggesting here is that if you, like Claudia, deliberately walk this path of productization, if you look back, spot patterns, and start designing a business, right? Solutions for clients that desperately need your help, you can achieve more income, impact, and flexibility in your life. And I know this to be true because Indie Collective has now supported more than 650 grads. And we don't have the time to walk through each of these grad stories, but each of them, since going through Indie Collective, has developed a balanced strategic portfolio. Kyle Westaway developed his product, General Counsel. He's 4x'd his business in the last 5 years. He's gone to almost 2 million in revenue, thanks to this path of productization. Tanya has built two products, a VIP day and a visibility accelerator. Shannon, an amazing executive coach. She's built a series of group leadership cohorts that are expanding her impact and have doubled her income in about 30-hour weeks. Larnell took his one-to-one coaching and career development, and he turned it into Career Day for the Soul, something that's now spread across the country that Microsoft, Amazon, and others are investing in. His reach has gone far and wide. And Charlotte, a really strategic product leader and UX strategist, she still does all that creative work, but she designed a scalable UX research sprint, something she's charging about $50,000 for. And guess what? She's got other people delivering the work now, something that leads to very strategic back-end product and strategy work for her. So the bottom line is this: if you walk this threefold path, you can unlock more income, impact, and creativity in your business and life. And that's just the beginning, because this is the first of 8 core playbooks that we teach at Indie Collective. And it's through focus on the right clients, the right painkiller problems, the one you should be solving as their expert, and the right strategic solutions that you can unlock every single one of these aspects of your business. So in Indie Collective, in our 10-week bootcamp, we start with helping you to productize, and then we help you to differentiate your brand like an expert, price on the value you create as an expert, build the predictable pipeline around your business, put in place process systems and tools to scale it in less time, make sure you're making the money that you want, not just the top line revenue that you need, and make sure you're getting more, frankly, leverage in your system through the right modern tools and the right winning psychology. So this is just the first foundational layer, but focus, right, on the right clients, problems, and scalable solutions. That's the foundation of all of these other things, because you can't unlock the full potential of your business without a full flywheel. So now the 2 offers, I want to make sure you take advantage of these before we head out. And I'll stay on longer if it doesn't end. But the first is a 4-week productization challenge. I'm offering this to all of you for free. So we've walked this path together today very quickly. And in the 4-week productization challenge, you're going to get some of my favorite tools and some of my favorite coaching to get you on this path yourself. So scan the QR code or grab it out of the offer section. I hope to see you there. Second, I've got 10 partial scholarships that Lettuce is making available to Indie Collective's programs. You have to apply in the next 24 hours, and we only have 10 of those seats. So if you're interested, grab that QR code. The application takes 10 minutes. And I'm going to spend just 2 minutes, if we can go long, and for those that are interested, to share the details of that scholarship so that you, if you're interested, can apply for it. And Kim, is that okay if we go 2 minutes over?
Yes, take your time. Go for it.
Awesome. All right. And for those that are not interested, grab the Productization Challenge if that's of interest. It's a free resource. And I hope you take advantage of it, because this is the work I do every single year at year end, and it has served me so well for more than 10 years. So now, for those who are interested in a partial scholarship, let me walk you through how Indie Collective works. We have 3 tiers of membership and how the partial scholarship applies to each so that you can have the information coming into a one-on-one with me. So as I've said, Indie Collective has helped more than 650 amazing consultants, coaches, and fractional leaders. People who already have expertise, if you look at the bottom left of this slide, marry that expertise with playbooks that work, that allow you to build a better business around the expertise and unlock more of your income, impact, and flexibility. And through the Indie Collective experience, we allow you to access the right resources for you, the right type of learning, the right type of coaching, and the right type of community to get you on your fastest, most reliable path. I'll now walk you through our 3 tiers of membership, and I'll explain what's the same, what's different, and also how the partial scholarship from Lettuce works for each. What I'll start by saying is that each tier of membership includes Indie Collective's 8 core playbooks, the things that you need to unlock more income, impact, and flexibility in your life. And that's intentional, because I don't want anybody to start on the path with us without the full set of resources. What's different between them is the level of intensity. If you are somebody that wants live learning, if you're somebody that wants one-on-one coaching, if you want the full enchilada in terms of our community, you might choose one tier of membership versus the other. But no matter which, you're going to get all of the information that you need. So let me start with our self-guided experience. As the name suggests, the self-guided experience is more of the DIY experience. It's the do-it-yourself. And upon signing up immediately, you get all of our playbooks, all of our worksheets, and our entire library of recorded workshops with all of our dozen experts. All of us have built our own 7 or 8 figure businesses, myself included. In addition, you get our entire AI layer. We have built a series of custom AI tools specifically built for coaches, consultants, and fractional leaders. These are going to help you to build the better business and also more efficiently deliver your client work. And last but not least, as an Indie Collective member, you're immediately a part of our app and desktop site, and you can wayfind through our members and hopefully build great business partnerships, collaborations, and find those accountability partners. So through the self-guided program and the partial scholarship, you get $500 off thanks to Lettuce, and that brings it down to $19.95. The next 2 tiers of membership are 10-week and our annual experiences are both live learning experiences. I'll start with the 10-week. In the 10-week, you're going to have 10 weeks of live instruction. You're going to be learning directly from me and a dozen other 7 and 8-figure business builders who will be teaching you these 8 core playbooks live each week. Each week, I'm going to bring you together for group coaching, which I personally lead. You're going to be getting your questions answered, and I'm going to put you into small breakout rooms each week with contextually appropriate peers, people who are going to be in pressure testing, sounding board, and help you exit each of the 10 weeks of the boot camp with clarity and momentum. And then last but not least, each of these 10 weeks, you're going to meet incredible people. One of the key stats I like to share is that in 10 weeks, our typical members say 70% of the time, they're doing business with their Indie Collective peers, trading referrals, collaborating on projects, using each other's services. So this becomes a mega networking event of some of the most highly qualified people out there. That's the 10-week boot camp. And through the partial scholarship from Lettuce, you can get it for $3,995, which you can pay in no interest installments until the end of your boot camp. And then last but not least, we have our annual experience. This is a full year of support, and it's quite intensive. This is the program that I actually built for me. It's a full year of live instruction from all dozen 7 and 8-figure business builders. It's one-on-one coaching with me personally, in addition to the group coaching. I handpicked for you a personal advisory board of 6 or 7 peers who are riding side saddle with you in accountability for that year. And we've got lots of amazing bonus programming specifically designed for our annual members. And through the partial scholarship from Lettuce, you get $2,000 off. So you get this for $5,995, which can be paid in installments through the end of your experience. So if you're interested, here are the 2 QR codes. Feel free to grab them. And once you apply for a scholarship, if you do, you and I will set up a one-on-one so we can dig into your vision and goals, help you pressure test fit, and make sure you've got the right next steps for you. So thank you folks so much for joining today. Really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope that we can support you in building your own better business.
Thank you so much, Sam. Definitely worth taking the extra time to go through those offers because they are amazing. And it is, I think, a really career-changing program. So thank you so much for being here today and sharing that. Everybody that's still on, thank you for staying. Please do not forget about the closing keynote that's coming up just next in the next 10 minutes. And it is the last presentation of the day. You don't want to miss it. It's going to help us translate all the information that we got today and give us a framework of how we can put that into action and hold ourselves accountable to taking the steps moving forward. So again, thank you all for being here. Thank you, Sam. Thank you so much. And I'll see you all soon.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, everybody. See you
Goodbye.
soon.